President Trump leading with optimism that the Ukraine war will end soon after meeting with French President Macron at the White House.
I think the war could end soon.
How soon?
Within weeks. European troops may go into Ukraine as peacemakers. So when the agreement is done, they can watch that everything's followed properly. I think it's to the very much benefit of Russia to make a deal. That's what you have to do. But I really believe that he wants to make a deal.
Brent Sadler is a senior fellow for national defense at the Heritage Foundation. He also has an extremely impressive military career, so he knows this stuff, and he joins us now. Brent, as you listen to the president there, are you as optimistic as he is that the Ukraine war will end in what he says is just a few weeks?
Thanks for having me on. And I think there is a lot of reason for optimism that this war is going to come to an end. It's hard to see a path that gets us there in the next few weeks because the negotiations have not formally or officially started yet. And that process will probably take weeks in and of itself. And I just always caution that there is still a lot of fight left in the Ukrainian armed forces and the Russian armed forces. And there's several months before the weather turns and military offensives start to get stymied by bad weather, the height of the summer.
As he closes in on this peace deal, the president is also finalizing that agreement with Ukraine for their rare earth minerals. Listen to what he said about that.
I will be meeting with President Zelensky. In fact, he may come in this week or next week to sign the agreement. The agreement's being worked on now. They're very close to a final deal. It'll be a deal with rare earths and various other things. And he would like to come, as I understand it, here to sign it, and that would be great with me.
Okay, so we would get the minerals. Ukraine would get an economic partner whose mere presence in the country of Ukraine would serve as a deterrent to Russia. At least that's the thinking. So what's the holdup? It seems like Ukraine should have signed on the dotted line on this weeks ago.
Yeah, the detail that really matters significantly is where that effective line of control will be drawn, the territorial question. And of course, Putin annexed in its entirety 5 of Ukraine's southern states, or oblast. Where that line is drawn will really determine how sustainable, even with peacekeepers, that this peace will be, however it is negotiated in the coming months. But it's important to note that France and other NATO allies are stepping up to put real skin in the game to enforce that peace, whatever it may be coming in the near future.
Yeah. Hegseth said no U.S. boots on the ground in Ukraine. Now you have Europe saying, to your point, stepping up, saying we're going to put actual troops in and around the area so that we can use that as a deterrent against Putin. Do you believe them, though? I mean, there's part of me that's skeptical that when push comes to shove, you know, they're going to back away, much like they sort of cut their NATO funding as soon as President Trump disappeared from office. And now that he's back, they're worried about sort of keeping their promises from a couple years ago. But I don't know. I don't trust Europe. Do you?
I'm guardedly optimistic. The lesson of the last 4 years to our European allies is that one that we've known since Reagan, and that is peace is only possible through strength. And I think you saw that in the German elections that just occurred over the weekend, that realism is back and understanding that there are bad people that want to do bad harm to us. And so I'm guardedly optimistic. It is not enough by itself, of course. That line of control will be important as to how sustainable this is. And again, this presence of European military forces in Ukraine is one of those security assurances that Zelensky and Kyiv is looking for. But again, that economic deal with the rare earths, that's another way of getting deep investment in the United States in the future and the security of Ukraine as well.
Moving on to the Middle East, the president's Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, expected to travel there tomorrow, hoping to extend phase 1 of the Israel-Hamas ceasefire deal before it ends. Here's what Phase 2 is reported to include, if Phase 1 does end on Saturday, a declaration of sustainable calm, a full withdrawal of Israeli troops from the Gaza Strip, and Hamas freeing remaining male hostages in exchange for a number of Palestinian prisoners. Phase 2 expected to last 42 days. But not to put the cart before the horse, are you even confident we would get to a Phase 2, that Phase 1 would end? Or do you expect Israel to say Hamas is just really flouting the terms of the deal, and we're going to bomb them out of existence on Saturday?
Yeah, I think it's important to restate that the end objective here, and this is American interest as well as Israeli and even our Middle Eastern partners, is that Hamas cannot continue in any form of influence or authority to exist in Gaza. It's the only way, given the nature of that regime, that terroristic organization's proven track record. So that's the only way forward. Phase 2 is a significantly higher bar to meet, and I am not optimistic in the slightest that it will be able to be met or even sustained in any enduring way. Even in Phase 1, there were violations on part of Hamas.
Wow. Check out Brent Sadler's new book, U.S. Naval Power in the 21st Century. You're also going to be testifying at the House Oversight Committee hearing on global emerging threats. We took care of two of them. What's happening in the Middle East and, of course, what's happening in Europe. I'm sure China, when it comes to emerging threats, is going to be front and center. Exhibit 1A on your list if it can even be considered emerging anymore. Brent Sadler, thank you so much for your time.